Hello, this is Matthew Chung. I'm founder of Work in Fintech, and we're going to be going through a video today talking about what to expect at the upcoming Work in Fintech AI Summit. I'll be joined later on as well by Madison Mazzini. She is a solutions engineer at OpenAI, who's going to be talking about some of the AI tools that you can be using in the next couple of weeks as we build up towards the event, and for what you're going to be doing on the day as well. So a bit of background for me. I'm the founder of Work in Fintech. I'm also CEO of a company called iPushBull, a capital markets fintech. And prior to that, I was also a co-founder and COO of a company called Ranscorp. So I've been in financial technology and financial markets for 25 years now. So moving on to talking about the actual day. So you're very lucky and I'm very lucky to have you, but you're also very lucky to make it through the process. There's been over 1,000 applications for the Work in Fintech AI Summit, and there's only 120 spaces for attendees. So well done in making it through. Now, running through the day's agenda, you would have seen the agenda already, but I'm just going to quickly just run through things. So in terms of turning up, we have a sharp start at 9 o'clock, so make sure you are there before 9 o'clock. The doors will be open from 8:30. There won't be any drinks on arrival, so just grab a coffee on your way in. There's tons of places just outside. The NatWest building on Bishopsgate, the actual entrance is on the side of the building, a bit further up from the main entrance. You'll see it as you walk up. We'll send some details before the event as well. There'll be an opening, just me talking about the event and kind of what to expect, and joined by some of our partners, NatWest and Payable. We'll be hosting it in NatWest's conference center, which when you get there, you'll see is a really lovely event venue. So as the sessions kick off, the first one is actually from two fintech CEOs from different kind of backgrounds and learning about their story and how they got to be where they are. And the rest of the day then is talking about how different parts of a fintech or any technology company works, from the technology side, where we'll hear from CTOs from Alika Bank and also Eunice AI, and then through to other parts of how a technology company works, like product management. A lot of young people kind of coming through academia. You don't hear so much about product management, but it's such a key role, and that's something that this panel will talk about. As we move later on in the day, there's then a sales panel. You always need to be selling. Sales is really important, regardless of what you do in any industry, any career, any job role. You need to understand sales. So these kind of leaders in the field are going to be talking about that. Similarly with marketing, there's always a need for marketing, and we'll hear from leaders in that panel. And then we'll go on to networking. Now, Work in Fintech is all about networking. It's always been about who you know, and it's now more so than ever because of AI applications, AI interviews, AI CVs. It's becoming more human, and meeting people is going to be a way to get a internship or a job, and I'll come on to that later on. But two panels here, and on the left-hand side as well, I've kind of might seen the text change to 60 fintech leaders. So there's going to be 120 people who are attendees, but there's going to be 60 or so at any given time across the day from people working in fintech. These will be the CEOs and founders that you'll hear speaking on the panels, as well as there's other people coming in throughout the day, particularly at the networking lunch and the networking drinks later on. We're trying to maintain a very high ratio of people from industry with people who are looking for work and looking to learn more about the industry. So it means you have lots of people to talk to. One of the sessions we'll be doing just before the networking lunch is about networking itself. So we'll kind of give you some skills and tactical advice, which you can use immediately when you then start talking to people during that lunch. So make sure you are talking to people in industry. There's going to be a lot of people there. Don't just talk to all the people in your team. Later on, after the break, the networking lunch, we'll learn about one part of networking is using digital tools like LinkedIn. And we'll hear from Charlie Hills. He's got over 250,000 followers on LinkedIn, and he's achieved that very quickly. And he'll talk about how you can build a personal brand. And then always a very popular panel is our Gen Z leaders panel. I think most of the people on the list there have actually been to previous Work in Fintech events and actually have got jobs directly from meeting CEOs and founders at the events. So you'll hear from them exactly how they've done that. And then we move on in the afternoon into the AI hackathon. So you would have already had your onboarding document. You've already got your hackathon challenge. We'll come on to that later on. But the afternoon is then focused on that. That'll be opened by Madison Mazzini. She's a solutions engineer at OpenAI, and we'll hear from her shortly. After the hackathon, we'll then have the final pitching round, and then we'll hear some founder stories from people that have just recently started their company, from having it to a few years to exiting a company, for over $100 million. So you'll hear those stories, and then we'll have the hackathon prizes at the end. Do stick around as well all day, because there'll be lots of people that might not drink or might not normally go to kind of bars to network and so on. But I remember last time we did this, there was a lady who stuck around. She said, I've never come down to a pub before for an event like this where we're networking," and she ended up spending 3 hours talking to a CEO, which I think then led to something later on. So the networking drinks are just over the road, and you're all welcome to join for that. So the hackathon challenge itself, you would have already seen this already, but we're focusing on financial literacy. As you probably know from your own personal experience, is not really taught very well, if at all, through academia. And you may only have to pick up stuff through talking to your parents or going on YouTube or something. It's not very good, the current state of play. So we want you to help build something new, something different, something great. So there's lots of people who are getting financial education through TikTok, and there's some good stuff on there, but there's a lot of rubbish on there as well. We want you to build something better. So we want you to be building those applications that can make young people confidently, financially capable. So that's across financial health, saving, investing, crypto, AI, all the things that you might have wanted when you were younger, and that you probably still want now as you're coming into the world of pensions and mortgages and so on. So what we're expecting you to build is you need to have a prototype. You need something that is demoable, and that will be recognized, and we're expecting to see that on the day. Think about the user. Who is the user of this of the tools and apps that you're building? How old are they? What's their experience going to be like, and so on. Also, not just building, you need to think about the commercial aspects of this as well. How are you going to reach those users? What is a commercial model? Who's going to be the person that pays? Is it going to be a parent or a young person or a company or a university? And then importantly, there is the pitching itself. So we'll have an eliminator pitch round and also a Dragon's Den pitching round. I'll come on to that shortly. Regarding how you can approach this problem and this challenge, you can use whatever tools you like. There's so many AI tools, no-code tools, coding tools, design tools. There's so many things out there which are amazing. And yet, even since the 2 years we've been doing this event, 2 years ago, we were talking about no-code tools. Now it's all, using AI tools. So we want you to embrace as many as possible. And part of this journey is using as many as possible and understanding them at a deeper level rather than just using them for basic things. Understand the next level. And on that, I'm going to introduce Madison Mazzini, who's a solutions engineer at OpenAI. Everyone's familiar with ChatGPT, but there's a lot more to that application than most people are using it for. And Madison is going to go through that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madison Mazzini, a solutions engineer here at OpenAI. I'll be walking you through how you can use OpenAI's products like ChatGPT Work and Codex to help you with your hackathon for work in fintech, and how you can use these tools to conduct research and understand the market for your product, develop your application, test it out, and even pitch to the judges. Before we dive in, let's level set by breaking down OpenAI's latest models that were released in July. We launched our latest frontier model series, GPT-5.6, and it's really a game changer for knowledge work and coding. Our models stay with complex work longer, it gets useful results more efficiently, and delivers work that's ready to use. The 5.6 model family includes 3 key model classes. Soul, which is our flagship model. It's great for coding work, so it's going to be really important for your hackathon. Terra, which is balanced for your everyday type work. And Luna is our fast and most affordable model. You can set the level of reasoning for the models based on the tasks that you're working on. So for certain research-based or coding tasks, you may need to use high if you want the model to think a bit longer compared to light reasoning when you have something that would require a quick, snappy answer. There are different modes of working. Here's the simplest way to choose the right surface. You'll see all 3 of these different modes inside the ChatGPT desktop app, which we'll be walking through today as part of the demo. So on the left-hand side, you can see chat called out. This is what you all might be most familiar with. So chat is great for questions, brainstorming, or quick back and forth. You can use work for when you want a larger task to be carried through a reviewable result. For example, when you're thinking about your hackathon project, thinking about going from your idea to going through research, building out a product brief, building synthetic data if you want to have that as part of your application, building a presentation, and even a site to describe your product. You would use Codex when there is a repository that is the key focus. So for your coding-based work, and when you want developer details, so needing information regarding plans, files, commands, tests, diffs, and pull requests. A large portion of the hackathon in regards to building the application can be done with Codex. So there is going to be overlap in regards to the different services, so don't worry there. Codex still can be used for creating documents and do research, while work can still be used for creating code. I'd say the practical difference is thinking about where you're getting started and doing your work and breaking out these different responsibilities amongst your team. So you might have team members who are heavily focused on the business side and building that business case, or responsible for building out the presentation. That might be an area to start on work. Whereas people who are heavily in the coding application, building out that app, that's really a natural place for using Codex as a starting point. And in today's demo, we're going to get started with ChatGPT work. So taking some of our initial ideas and doing research, and then diving a bit deeper into Codex inside the desktop app. So a quick snapshot on ChatGPT work. You can really think of ChatGPT work as your AI teammate for your hackathon team. So you can really turn your ideas into finished artifacts like presentations, doing more analysis. Again, as I previously mentioned, even building out a site for the application that you build as another way to communicate your vision for your business and for your project. You can connect with additional tools that you might be using. So if you have different files that you want to plug in to tie in for your context, as well as really having powerful reasoning to research, analyze, and create and complete your work much faster. Where Codex comes into play, this is also going to be your technical teammate across the entire hackathon. You can really break down where you might go with Codex for the hackathon in 5 key ways. So first, taking the business plan and or your build brief, asking Codex to inspect the project, turn it into one clear journey for how you might actually make improvements to the product, determine how you're going to plan out your application, building the prototype. So once you have the plan all set, Codex can build the prototype in the repository, creating the interface and logic, run commands to do so, and showing you what changed within the code. Third, and kind of diving a bit deeper into an iterative process for software development, The first version that you get back is not going to be the final version. So bring in feedback from your teammates, from some of the actual testing that you're using with potential users, to continue to build upon your prototype and steer the direction of where your project is going, so you can figure out what works, take in that feedback, and tie it into your product. We do a similar approach in regards to our product development here of getting feedback from actual users. So it's a great thing to incorporate into your hackathon project. Fourth, going through using Codex to actually run tests and use the browser to click through the actual application. You can use computer use and browser use to actually have Codex do some of that testing work for you, as well as creating your own tests for validating that the application works. And finally, using Codex to help you create that pitch. So using that information that you have created and turning that into a pitch presentation or a shareable site. So this is a 5-step pattern that is really going to be a strong framework for getting started with your hackathon project. So let's get started. So for our demo, we're going to be hopping into the desktop app. So if you want to follow along and get started, here's how you can get access to ChatGPT Work and Codex. So you can download and install the ChatGPT desktop app. That's through chatgpt.com/download, or accessing ChatGPT and ChatGPT Work through the web. You can sign in with your ChatGPT credentials. For the desktop app, you'll toggle between if you are using ChatGPT Work or Codex, and then you can connect whatever plugins, so what source data you might need, and upload relevant files, as well as describe when you're actually putting in your prompts to build out your prototype, determine what outcome you want, review your progress, questions, and approval requests. This is the ChatGPT desktop app. You can still use ChatGPT via the web, but I wanted to go through the desktop app since it has both ChatGPT and Codex all in one place for your work. So let's orient ourselves. On the top left hand of our screen, we'll see that we can switch between ChatGPT and Codex. In the middle of our screen, we can see that we can toggle between chat and work. Remember that chat is more for brainstorming, chatting back and forth, whereas work is great for handling multi-step tasks and creating professional assets. Additionally, on the left-hand side on our toolbar, you'll see that we can connect to different plugins. So any different data sources that you might need to build out your project, pull in additional context you can connect to through plugins. And you can also create your own skills, so templatized ways for how your team is doing work. Great. So I will actually pop back into work over here. So as your team is ideating together, you can use work to research the market, get insight on what you're trying to solve with your business. And so as part of this hackathon, there were some suggested ideas of team members focused on insights and users, as well as understanding business and reach. Before we commission the app, we should find out whether our idea is worth building. So I'm going to ask work to do this research for me. So I'm going to come up with this idea for a company called Payday Quest, a mobile-first experience that helps 18 to 25-year-olds understand their first pay slip. And I have all of my context from my prompt here, and I'm asking for a bit of a business founder brief of who has this problem? Why is this important? What evidence suggests that there is this problem? Who's solving this problem today? So I'm thinking through, is this actually worth building? And I'm going to use work to do this foundational research for us as we're building our business use case. So the model that I had selected here is 5-6 Soul. When you are entering new prompts, new tasks, you can choose the model and the reasoning effort as we discussed. This is a research-based task, so I'm using our flagship model and 5-6 Soul, as well as I have it on Reasoning High because I want this extra effort here as we're building out our business case. And so our model is going to go and search the web for more information. I ran this prompt already since it takes a couple of minutes to run. And so ChatGPT created this brief for us, analyzing the problem that we've called out and answering the questions that I've provided. So there are different ways that you can do research as a team and thinking through how you want to approach building your business. So I've previously added in some additional details on if I want to add in context of should I make any changes here? Why should I move forward with this? And so I can assess this brief as well on if it's worth moving forward and what additional questions still remain unanswered. I'm going to pop into another thread where I have continued to build upon this research case to create a brief for us to better align as a team as on a plan for our build. So I'm continuing to ask within this thread. I've just branched it out for ChatGPT to help build a brief for us for designing this mobile first journey that a fictional 21-year-old would take and help me build out this test brief as we're planning for our project. So you can use ChatGPT for creating assets, doing research, as well as really setting the framework for your business. So we have details within our brief for what journey we're taking, what required screens there are for the application. So even non-technical team members can really use ChatGPT to help map out what this user experience and user journey is going to look like. And we have this really helpful brief here with the different checkpoints. And as we're thinking about design as well, so going from really this initial research, building, mapping out what this user journey is going to look like, thinking about the branding for your business as well, I've used Image Gen to create an original wide hero illustration for Payday Quest. I've run this prompt and actually have this image created for us after about a minute and a half of working, so that we are getting this built out journey of how I want to have our site, our application and site branded. And so these are just a few ways that you can use ChatGPT work on the business side of the house. There's many different ways that you can think about incorporating ChatGPT to do your initial steps. Now let's switch over to Codex to take on building your application. We'll go through a quick overview on AgentsMD files, prompting, and planning before hopping back into the ChatGPT app and focusing on Codex. So Codex supports agent files. These are shared instructions on how work gets done. Instead of having to repeat context every time, you define it once and keep it alongside your project materials. You can put it at the root of your repository, or in specific folders. And so Codex will read this file before it starts, and what you're going to get at the end of the day will be more consistent outputs, less back and forth, and a smoother experience when developing. If you need help making one of these, ask Codex to help you in building this out. And a few tips and tricks on working with models and developing and making sure that you're having less back and forth. Prompting with Codex and with any coding tool out there, there are 4 fields that are helpful in building your prompts. So thinking about what the goal is for what you're looking to accomplish. So being clear on what the outcome is and why it matters. So for our example, say if I wanted to put in something like build one complete first payday journey that helps a young person understand their pay slip. Secondly, adding in context. So where should Codex be looking for context? Pointing out what specific files or briefs you're uploading, existing components that exist, or example experience that you want. Additional context is going to get a better output. What are some of the constraints so that you are adding in additional scope for what Codex is going to be building? So let's say for Payday Quest, this might mean let's focus on a mobile-first educational platform compared to anything that would tie in with financial advice, things of that nature, adding in additional scope there. And then lastly, when are you done? So this can be an area that developers often miss. So specifying what needs to work, what checks to run, and when the job is complete. So these 4 fields really help have a more focused prompt. And so the result will also be easier for your team to review at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be a massive prompt, but adding in these clearer guidelines really allows for Codex to execute consistently. Switching back into the ChatGPT app, we can toggle into Codex, and this is where we'll be doing our technical work. We'll be able to set connections to our Git repo or work locally, and I can create a project for the work that I am doing. So just by clicking this plus icon, I can create a project specifically for Payday Quest. I've already done so, and we'll get started by entering our prompt for our plan for building out Payday Quest. I'm going to say, read our brief. In plan mode, design the smallest coherent implementation of our brief, and call out this fictional scenario. As this initial prototype, you can continue to refine what you actually want to develop as part of your application. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm mapping out what I want to include as part of this plan. I'll kick off this prompt. This is a pretty lengthy prompt as part of our plan. One thing that I typically do when I am developing is I'll actually use our dictation. So this allows for me to really put in all of my thoughts in regards to whatever I am building, making it a bit easier instead of, say, necessarily typing everything out. Now that we've kicked off our plan, Codex is going to start developing this framework for us based off of the context we're providing, starting to map out how it should be building this application. Again, I have run this as an example, just as it took a little bit of time. But what is really helpful with using the planning mode is, as there are going to be questions from plan mode, it'll prompt me to refine the information I've provided. It'll provide example mock-ups for me to approve, make sure that the flow makes sense. I can add any comments or make any callouts for what to remove as part of this plan, and also receive a plan summary. So this is where all of your teams can come together. Your business focused team members, your technical team members, your product focused team members. This is really a great review point where you can align on the user journey before really getting started on that application build. And so I just opened this plan within our sidebar, and we can see callouts for once I am good to go with this plan, I can tell Codex we are good to go and to implement this plan. And this is where Codex is going to be doing heavy lifting for us. So Codex is actually going to implement our plan for us. Once this is complete, I can see what has been delivered in regards to the different packages, as well as see screenshots that Codex went through, took for us as well, since I've allowed for those permissions. And I can see what files have changed. So this is important as you all are collaborating as a team, and understanding your code changes. So you can see the changes that you're making, see more details as you are pushing and pulling changes too, with the rest of your team. So I have insight into what exactly is changing. I'm starting from scratch, so this is going to be entirely new. But say if I am making a change to a specific feature, it's important for me to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Once we have our application implemented and built, I can actually view it in our in-app browser. I'm going to click into where it is running, and I can test out what the application looks like and go through this user journey on my own. So let's say if I'm going through this practice payday run, I'm not feeling confident in a pay slip, I can go through what this user experience will look like. You can go through and test your application. It's all in one place. You don't have to hop from app to app. So it's a really great way to cross-check your work, understand what the user journey looks like. Let's say I want to be working on other tasks after I complete my review. I can ask Codex to use our browser tool to test the right user journey for me. So I'm going to use the @ symbol, find our browser tool, and enter this prompt here and ask Codex to flag what doesn't make sense or what isn't working right and kick off this task. Codex is going to be using a skill specifically for our app browser to take over. And this is an example of how I can give Codex different tools to accomplish different tasks on my behalf. So since Codex is now using our browser tool, we'll see Codex walk through and test out this user journey. You can see the mouse that's popping up and Codex actually going through our app on our behalf. So Codex can test the app like a real user in our in-app browser, opening pages, clicking through the different user flows, filling out forms, checking the rendered UI rather than only inspecting code. That helps it catch integration, interaction, and visual issues that unit tests or static code can actually miss. And so while Codex is working for me, let's say I actually wanted to have Codex create a QA report for me instead of just my vague prompt of, are there any areas that don't make sense or aren't working right? I can create this, add in this prompt saying, create a QA report for me after testing and steer Codex in this direction. So when you steer Codex, you're giving it new instructions while it's already working, and it adjusts its approach without having to restart the task. So it's keeping the existing context. In my case, it's adding a deliverable to what it's doing at the end rather than having to start over. So once our browser has gone through and completed its initial tests, I previously ran this prompt without the QA report, and we'll see that browser pulled together some of the findings of what's working well, what might not be passing a specific test for us. So we have this planned stacked work record layout that's failing. So I'm providing some screenshots here for us. So it's a great way of thinking about using browser to test the app like a real user would. Let's say that you are totally done with your application, you're getting ready for your presentation to the judges for the hackathon. Codex can continue to help you with your presentation. So I've run a prompt here asking Codex to help me build a 5-slide, 5-minute work in Fintech Hackathon pitch, added in some context on the slides that I'm specifically looking for. I'd recommend adjusting this for your business pitch, but we can see that Codex actually built a PowerPoint for me. I can have a PowerPoint created, Google Slides, and whatever context that I'm providing, this is going to shape the output, of course, but you can have presentations created for you based off of the work that you're doing directly inside Codex. So you're really going from end to end, being able to do research and ChatGPT work all the way to building your application and being able to present that all within one place. For an alternate way of presenting beyond a pitch deck or to incorporate as part of your business assets, you can use sites in Codex to actually create a shareable website. So if I wanted to kick this off, Sites lets Codex turns the work that we already have into a shareable website, can build the page, show us a preview, and actually publish it. So our team can really present the problem, prototype, evidence, and next steps all in one place. We're using sites quite a bit internally at OpenAI for how we are presenting content. And so just so you can take a snapshot of what this looks like for presenting as part of your pitch, I have this run, and we'll take a look at this inside Codex. And so we have this site already created for us. So we have our project, our business case. Again, however you want to tailor this site, it's another way to present your ideas to the team. Well, that wraps up our walkthrough. So, for more resources on getting started, check out OpenAI's documentation, Codex cookbooks, as well as the OpenAI Academy for training resources, as well as some example use cases for ChatGPT work and Codex. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all work on and meeting you all in person on August 28th.
Thank you, Madison. There's a few weeks until we get to the 28th of August, where we'll have the AI Summit. You would have already embarked upon probably part of this journey, and if you haven't, you need to get moving, because if you don't perform with your team, communicate, collaborate, and build things, you're just not going to make the most of the day. So the first week, you should be meeting your team, you have regular calls with them, get to know them, start thinking about which problem you want to solve for. The second week, you should be already have defined roles and start to double down on a particular area or prototype that was successful, and then you want to start going for that one. And then by the third week, it's building, testing, practicing your pitch. So don't forget, there's two parts to all of this. There's building an application and there's working on your pitch as well, and they need to both be excellent if you want to excel in the hackathon piece. What does that team look like? We shared some of this on the onboarding doc. These are just suggestions. You don't have to take these roles, but there's going to be 6 people on every team. Those people on the team are split across different genders, races, backgrounds, and also technical ability. Every single team has someone who is an advanced coder through to people that don't code, but they are tech savvy. So there's a variety of people. Similarly, there's people from STEM degrees and non-STEM degrees. And why that's important is so you have a diverse team and you get to communicate and collaborate with a diverse team. And that is also part of the skills you're learning in this period before the event. So some of these roles are suggestions, having like a team lead or a captain or a coordinator, having someone who can look after product and design, having the people that can build it. That could be one or many of you. People looking at users, talking to users, understanding the pain points, the challenges of those users. You obviously know the pains that you went through, but it's also worth talking to people that are younger than you now as well. And then the commercial side, how can you take this to market? How big is that market? How are you going to make money from it so you can fund it to grow bigger? And then the pitching, pitching is really important. You need either one person that's very, very strong or a number of you. You don't necessarily have to have all 6 people pitching. You can if you want, but it needs to be pretty slick and smooth if you do it that way. You just need to optimize for success. So you could do it between you. You could have one person do it. It's entirely up to you, whatever's going to help you win. So how are you going to be judged in the afternoon during the actual 3-hour hackathon? We expect you to have already built what you're planning to pitch. This will be very much where you can polish off what you've already built, meet people in person for the first time, and then sit with a mentor. So you will have a mentor assigned to you. That mentor will have 2 teams, but that mentor will be assigned to your team for 3 hours. And it'll be one of the speakers during the day or someone else from industry is coming in. Everyone is very senior, if not C-suite founders and CEOs. So part of the journey and the day is also you getting to build your network through meeting some of these people. So make a really good impression. A good impression will be you've turned up and you're just on it, right? So the scoring criteria has already been sent to you. What you'll see is on the left-hand side, there's an eliminator round. There's 120 people coming. There's 6 people in every team. So that means there's 20 teams. There's 20 teams, and we need to reduce those down to 5 teams for the final pitching. So how we're doing that is that mentor will sit with you and one other team, and they will be watching you during that 3-hour period. You can ask them as many questions as you want. They can help, give you feedback, pick their brains, importantly, connect with them as well and, build your network. But the 3 hours, we've sent out in the onboarding document how you should kind of plan that out. But for the last half hour, you with your mentor will be pitching. You'll be pitching to your mentor. So that mentor is going to buddy up with another mentor and then a third independent judge. There's going to be 3 judges for the eliminator round, and there's going to be 4 teams pitching to those 3 judges, and that will all be done in the last half hour of that 3-hour session. They will then score it, and the team with the highest score will go through to the next round. The next round is going up on stage, where there'll be 5 teams to compete for prizes for the top 3 teams. The scoring for the eliminator round and for the final round is on the same scorecard, which you can see on your screen. All of the judges will be scoring it digitally, and we're going to be bringing all those scores together so we can then see who's going to be doing what. We would suggest, when you're pitching, the pitch is really, really important. You're building stuff, but you're also pitching. Using AI skills to build things, you're using your human skills to collaborate and communicate with the team, and then you're really having to use those human skills to come across with excellent pitching skills, confidence, clarity, but making impacts. That first 30 seconds really count. And also be prepared for things going wrong. You're going to have to plug your laptop into a random connector up on stage. There's quite a high chance it just might not work. So have backups, have things saved down, have notes printed off, be prepared. The number one rule of any of these types of live events is always be prepared. But think about making an impact on those first 30 seconds. If you plug it in, everything works, fantastic. What are you going to do? What's the hook? What is that really compelling hook that's going to get people, that's interesting. That's what people think about. That's what people remember. But they will be scoring you on that same criteria. We're expecting you to demo your solution during the final pitches. You don't have long, so you have to reduce it down to what really counts. And you need to rehearse those pitches. You should be rehearsing many, many, many times. And therefore think about how you are going to pitch and who's going to pitch, because doing that rehearsal means that it's going to be easier if there's a lesser amount of people doing the pitching than if there's 6 of you doing it. But it's entirely up to you. We're looking for slick, impactful, amazing pitches. What are you pitching for? You're pitching for winning the hackathon, which is a great accolade. And lots of former winners have gone on to do really great things and work in great fintech companies. But you will win prizes and selections of prizes. At the moment, some of the companies that have contributed some of those prizes. So we have like mini internships and insight days from a variety of different fintechs, banks, technology companies, mentoring with leaders in the field. And then Payable, one of our partners, has provided tickets for Web Summit in Lisbon. And that will mean that you can go to Lisbon to go and pitch on stage as part of the Alpha program, where you'll have actually a booth and you can pitch on stage. The winning team from last time said it was like the best thing they've ever done. They were their own kind of startup entrepreneur for like the 3 months between August and November when they did that. And you can see actually that winning pitch from last time if you go on our YouTube channel. But there's lots more stuff to come as well with prizes. We'll firm those up before the event. And some of the outcomes as well, 10 people have got jobs directly from meeting the CEOs and founders from fintech companies at the events that we've done. So you need to be there to be, stand out, be memorable. Don't just come along and be underprepared, be overprepared. As well as people landing jobs, there's been many full-time internships. But the other piece is you'll have something unique on your CV. That means that rather than, in the world of sameness and AI applications like we were talking about earlier, you can have something that's going to differentiate you. One thing we always say to people, this app that you're going to build, you'll have a name for your little projects, right? Go and buy the URL when you're done. It costs $10 to pay for a website. Put it on a website, put your app there, put a video of this, get photos, make it look great, and then have that on your CV. You will stand out a mile. People look for things that are different on a CV in a world of sameness. This is something As well as, if you actually win the events and win the prizes, there's more things that you can have as talking points if you have interviews that's going to be on your CV. Networking is so important and that's something we really feel strongly about at work in fintech. Like I said earlier, it's about who you know, not what you know. And how do you have a network when you're starting with nothing? Well, the idea of the event is that there's going to be 60 people from industry there. There's no reason why you can't meet every single one of them, add them on LinkedIn, build your own network. I've got a big network and I'm sharing it with you. I'm bringing people in. So utilize it. It's really powerful. How can you make the most of that? You can research everyone. The agenda's there. There's other people coming that's not on the agenda, but the people that are on the agenda, research them, understand them, have little one-liners you might want to ask them if you see them. Prepare your own elevator pitch, right? You should have like 20, 30-second pitch about you. Something that's interesting and that's memorable. Not that, my name's Dave and I'm doing a finance degree somewhere. That's not memorable. Think about something someone's gonna, oh, that was that person that has a side hustle of, running this gymnasium in South London where they've built a TikTok channel with, 500,000 followers on it. Oh, and they're looking to get into fintech. I was like, I'll remember that person. Learn from the workshops as well. So there's two workshops that we're going to be doing. So Neil Massa is going to be joining us, who's an expert on networking. There's a programmatic, systematic way to approach networking, as well as more tactical elements with, just looking people in the eye, your elevator pitch, standing up tall, being confident, shaking people's hand properly. Learn from the workshops that we're doing. And similarly with your online presence, LinkedIn is your shop window to you. When people interview other people, the first thing they do is they go and Google people. What presence have you got on the internet that people can see if they go and search for you? Go and try it now and see what comes up. Might be something bad, might be nothing, which is probably most likely, or it might be something great. So you need to start making it great. LinkedIn's the best place to get started. And Charlie Hills has got like 250,000 followers on LinkedIn. It's going to give you some pointers around that. Also, for networking, we had a similar networking session going through a networking workshop. It was on the trading technology working fintech event we did back in April. You can find that video on YouTube. Talking about preparation, be prepared. Prepare the day before, the night before. Do charge your laptop. There's going to be lots of people in the room. They'll all probably be wanting to plug stuff in. Don't rely on sockets. Make sure your laptop is fully charged, okay? Make sure you're bringing a notepad and some pens and you can take notes throughout the day. And do take notes. Otherwise it's going to be difficult for you to remember all this stuff. Do bring a water bottle that's full as well. There's the limited amounts of water coming throughout the day. So just please bring a water bottle just in case. There is food and drink served throughout the day. We've taken into account everyone's different dietary requirements and so on. If you have something that's a bit more rare or unusual, please bring your own food as well, just in case. We are in the main part of London in the city as well, so you can always pop out if necessary, but it's better not to because you want to be networking with all the people there. And importantly, arrive on time. I know some of you are probably going to be coming from quite far, but you have to get there on time. We're starting sharp at 9 o'clock, so get there for 8:30. Some useful links for you. The WhatsApp group, you've probably already joined, but if you haven't, please join it. We'll be communicating things throughout there. LinkedIn as well. If you're not following us on LinkedIn, please add us. That's our main channel. We do have other channels that we cover, but LinkedIn's the main one, as well as YouTube as well. So the previous event webinars you can see on our YouTube channel. Do have a look on the YouTube channel at the previous events that we've run so you can get a feel for what they're like. And also that's some of the previous event webinars where we recorded something similar like I'm doing now, but they might be worth a view or a listen as well to give you some other ideas and think about ways to manage your team and use tools and so on. But we've got a few weeks until the event. Really, really looking forward to seeing you. Make sure you're prepared, make sure you're memorable, and you'll walk away with something really, really useful, particularly around contacts and a network, maybe you even land a job too. So see you soon. Thank you so much.